Welcome on in to another edition of Ott The Record here on the Gem City Sports Podcast Network presented by Rebich Investments. This week we sit down with Otters assistant coach Keenan Reynolds, discuss his OHL playing career, his OHL coaching career, what got him into coaching, what he likes to do away from the rink, and a little bit of a jersey debate. Come along, we've got a lot of fun ahead. All right, we're here with Otters assistant coach Keenan Reynolds, one of the newest members of the Otters family this year. Keenan, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Heard a lot of great things. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk a little bit first about your playing career and how you got into hockey. You know, what kind of got that bug going for you and getting into the game?
Yeah, so I grew up about 45 minutes east of Ottawa, a small town called Bourget, predominantly French-speaking, and had an older brother, 6 years older than me, named David, who was a ref later in his career. But growing up, I just wanted to play with my brother. That was kind of it, and there's stories, countless stories in that small town where I'd run onto the rink while he and his team were playing, and or I'd be going around kind of collecting quarters to buy slushies at the local rink and stuff. But typical Canadian childhood, I'd say, had an outdoor rink in the back and would spend a ton of hours out there just enjoying the game. And kind of as you move up through the ranks in Ontario hockey, you start with your kind of house league competitive, and then you go AA and AAA. And I was fortunate to kind of make the team at every step, and at about 14, 15, kind of realized I was one of the top players in my area, and was fortunate enough to be drafted in the 4th round by the Owen Sound Attack in 2014, and again was fortunate enough to make the team at 16 and played 2 years in the OHL from 2014 2016. Then finished my playing career in Junior A and the CCHL with the Navan Grads and the Carleton Place Canadians. So definitely my career took me all over the place in Ontario and the U.S., and look back upon it fondly.
Talk to me about your time in the OHL, Owen Sound and Flint. A couple of interesting markets for sure. You have a small market in Owen Sound, a building that's always packed, a building that's very tight, compact, one of the more unique facilities in the league. And
for sure.
Flint, who at that time was just kind of getting their feet down on the ground in Flint after moving from Plymouth.
Yeah, obviously at the time I didn't know that Owen Sound was a small market. I didn't really know where it was, candidly. I was just super excited to have been selected, and was, like I said, fortunate enough to make the team at 16, and just was blown away by how tight-knit the community was. As you said, how fierce and ferocious those fans are in support of their team. And while I didn't exactly break any OHL scoring records over my time in the league, I think I gained an appreciation for what adversity early in a person's life can do in terms of shaping their character moving forwards. I think it really taught me a lot about myself and coming to grips with wanting to become a pro hockey player and falling short of that dream and building myself back up separate from the identity of being only a hockey player. And at the time, I really think I was living through my wins and my losses, which is great when you're winning and when everything's going your way, but it's not a really sustainable way to live your life. And I'm just really proud of the person I've become. And then transitioning to Flint, I was traded there at the trade deadline when I was 17. I was really excited, just looking for another opportunity because Owen Sound didn't really get many opportunities to showcase my skill set. And that was actually their first year during expansion season, and there's a lot of wild stuff that went on in Flint that year. We don't need to get into it, but I just remember being ecstatic to play. I mean, I was telling you off camera, like I think every player's favorite coach is the one that plays them the most, regardless of how that relationship is on the ice, off the ice. And the coach that was brought in that year after everything went down gave me an opportunity, and I relished it. My time in the OHL was short, but it was memorable, it was formative, and I'm just so excited and so honored to be back in this capacity to help guide the next generation of Canadian and North American elite hockey talent.
Absolutely. And, you know, the first thing I'd ask you about Owen Sound, were you able to utilize the Bayshore bounce, and what is it like getting hit into those boards?
Yeah. Well, the good thing for me was I definitely played a physical brand of hockey, so I was usually on the delivering end of big hits in the Bayshore Community Center, but you definitely had to learn to brace yourself early on. One story that sticks out for me from my 16-year-old career, we had a Russian import defenseman back when Russian players were still eligible to be imports, and I cut to the middle on him, and he just cold cocked me. Like, knocked me, not out cold, but on my back, and he stood over me and he said, "Don't cut to middle." His name was Damir Shripsianov. I think he's playing in the KHL now. I think he wears a letter. He played for the Russian World Junior team, but it was trial by fire as a 16-year-old. There's no doubt about it. But again, I look back on those memories as ones that have made me who I am today, and I'm really appreciative of my time in that league.
With the Otters connection now, what was it like playing against some of the superstars that were on those Erie teams in those years?
Yeah, I mean, it was never an easy game against Erie over the 2 and a bit years I played. I think they won 50 games every year. First year they were led by Connor McDavid, Dylan Strome, the Radishes, in addition to about 5 to 10 other guys I could probably say off the top of my head. Warren Fogle. It was kind of a wild team looking back. And then the next year, speaking to Alex DeBrincat, how good he was in this league, I remember there were some rumors going around like he had only kind of scored the goals he scored as a 17-year-old because he was playing with McDavid. And I didn't buy into that. I could kind of see this guy's legit. But that second year he came in, played with Strome, scored 50 goals again. And everyone was like, well, you're playing with Dylan Strome. Like, you're going to score 50 goals. And that time I was like, maybe, because Strome had been so dominant in the OHL up to that point, and as a distributor, he's done the same thing in the NHL for a guy like Ovechkin as well. But then DeBrincat came back in his third year, which I actually started in Flint at 18, and he had 67. And I think that basically put all the doubters to rest. So, Erie was a phenomenal team. I still remember the fans. Obviously, our home opener just the other day, fans were amazing. They were the same unbelievable group of fans back then, loud, in your face, super passionate about the team. And I think every player that has the opportunity to come and play either for the Otters or against the Otters in the EIA is just blown away by our fans.
100%. And, it's the fans, it's the energy, and it's like the perfect combination of the building is built to be loud. Like the way it was built in the early 80s, like sound just like hangs in there. So not only the passion, but the way it's built. I mean, it's like the perfect concoction of what I think is the loudest rink in the OHL.
Yeah, we're hoping to continue that trend by scoring some big goals, making some huge defensive plays throughout the year, and continuing to provide, to be honest, the best junior hockey on the planet, and a brand of Otters hockey led by obviously head coach Chris Millette that any fan here in the Erie area would be proud to come out and support.
So for you, your hockey career comes to an end. What was the first step into coaching? What made you want to get into coaching after coming out of your playing career?
Yeah, so I think I was just very tired at the end of my playing career at 20. I think my last 3 years all ended with season-ending injuries. My last year I played through 2 shoulder separations for basically the entirety of my overage season, and I was fortunate enough at the end of my career to have been traded to the Carleton Place Canadians in Junior A, who had won 4 straight league championships when I got there, led by Jason Clark, who's now a coaching mentor of mine. It's kind of funny to see how our relationship has evolved throughout the years. But, nationally ranked team. We're number 1 my first year. We unfortunately lost in the finals, and then the same exact team beat us again in the finals the next year. So after what happened in the OHL, going through all those injuries, then losing back-to-back to end my my playing career, I just made the decision to retire and pursue other interests. So I went to Carleton University, started briefly on the hockey team there before just kind of, like I said, packing it in to focus on my academics. Then COVID hit, so I felt way better about my decision because no one was playing hockey at the time in Canada, and found myself really immersed in the obviously digital community at Carleton because we weren't on campus, but kind of grew from there. And then in addition to trying out some odd jobs, serving, modeling, just doing a bunch of random side quests basically at the time, I got the offer from a family friend, Jared DeFazio in Ottawa, to join the Nepean Raiders U18 AAA hockey team. I'll be candid, I had no idea if they were good. I just said, you know what, that sounds great. Funny story about my first ever day. Some of the players on that team never let me live it down. I showed up expecting them to have a tracksuit jacket for me, and they just said, no, we don't have a jacket. And I said, well, I don't have a jacket except for this bomber jacket. I was just wearing like a black bomber. And they were like, well, throw it on. So my first ever practice as a coach, I had a black bomber jacket on. It just looked like a doofus. But Yeah, that team was really, really good. We were actually ranked number 1 in Canada for the U18 AAA level for a large portion of that year. You can't ask Dylan Edwards about that team because his team actually eliminated my team in the TELUS Cup Regionals. I will just say for the camera, there was biased officiating in that game. GTHL refs wanted to get their Toronto team in there. Dylan would admit it. He always talks about he had 4 points that game. 3 of them were on the 5-on-3.
Oh,
so yeah, exactly. But so that year was great. I realized not only was I passionate about coaching, but this new kind of revival of my love of the game that I'd lost throughout my playing career was combined with this opportunity for me to mentor, these young men through adversity into community leaders, to teach them about critical life skills like managing adversity, overcoming adversity, emotional resilience, character, all these things, right? Accountability. Came back the next year as a 24-year-old and became co-head coach of the U18 AAA team the next year. Over those 2 years, was fortunate enough to coach some OHL players. Cole Bodway, who's just drafted by the Utah Mammoth. Quinn Beauchene, just drafted by Pittsburgh Penguins. Harry Nancy, drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs. In addition to a ton of other really talented, really great kids. That year, I also kind of hopped on the bench with the Junior A team in the PN and was fortunate enough to get my first Junior A win, my first game, which was super exciting. And then that next year, full-time associate coach in Junior A at 25, which was a lot. And throughout that time as well, I was working with Shelley Kettles in Ottawa, who's the technical skating coach for the Ottawa Senators. Basically just studying from her every day. She's unbelievable at her craft, and I was fortunate enough to work with a lot of the area's top players as a result of that on their edge work and technical skill development, skating, stick handling, all that stuff. Then after that, was hired by the Acadie Bathurst Titan last year in the QMJHL by Gordie Dwyer, who is head coach and GM there and is still a close friend and mentor of mine, someone that I just have a ton of respect for. And then this past summer, with that team having transitioned to become the Newfoundland Regiment and moving to Newfoundland, there was an opportunity that arose to come back to the Ontario Hockey League and to work alongside Chris Millette, Ken Puroff, Dave Brown, Scott Grieve, and the rest of the staff here with Erie. And it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up, and it's something I'm really, really still thankful for.
Absolutely. So talk me through, when you knew that move was coming and kind of the phone call with Mally and with Brownie and when the opportunity popped up.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's not a traditional job interview process in the sense that you apply for a job, then there's a very structured interview process. It's very much so you better be ready when the moment arises. And pretty funny story, I was driving to get some new shoes, some new running shoes, because everyone, it seems like when they're in their mid to late 20s, becomes a runner. So I was like, I'm going to become a runner. So, and I haven't yet, just so you know. But I have the shoes. So I just got a phone call, and I think it was a British Columbia number, and I picked it up, and it was Chris Millette. And we just had a phenomenal conversation. It was pretty clear early on that a lot of the values and the tactical, technical elements that he really feels strongly about, I also did. We agreed upon a lot. And then the other thing was just talking about my experiences in Bathurst because of his close relationship with Gordie Dwyer. So Chris has won 3 Hlinka gold medals, not a big deal. And then Gordie was actually his defensive coach for his last Ivan Hlinka gold medal. And when Chris was the head coach of the CHL Top Prospects last year, Gordie was his D coach there. So they're very close, and I'm thankful Gordie spoke highly of me, my work ethic, and what I was able to help provide him and the rest of the staff in Bathurst. And I think I'm very fortunate Chris made the decision that he has, and I also hope he still stands by it.
Well, you look at the QMJHL and you look at the OHL, there's obviously some differences there, and I know we're just a couple of games into the season, but obviously for you as a player, what are the big fundamental differences? Maybe it be travel. I know that the league's a lot more spread out up in the Q, whether it be just the style of game. Talk me through some of the differences that you've noticed working in the O and working in the Q.
Yeah, I mean, the CHL is the best development league on the planet. So regardless whether it's a Saturday night in Halifax or a Saturday night in Erie or any of the teams in either league, you're going to get some very, very high-level hockey. I think one thing you pointed out was the travel. Wasn't really sure what I was signing myself up for because I didn't know where Bathurst was either. I talked about Owen Sound. I had no idea. So when I originally got the Bathurst job, I had to get out of my lease, my apartment. I had to quit my job with Shelley, and I had to figure out a way to get all my stuff 11 hours away to Bathurst. And I found out that 11 hours was actually not the longest trip of the year. We went from Bathurst to Gatineau, then Gatineau to Rouyn-Noranda, which is like in the middle of nowhere, northern Quebec, and then Val d'Or, which is about an hour and a half from Rouyn. And then
which is closer to North Bay, right? Than it is to any team in the queue, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So definitely an isolated spot. Some really cool history and a cool road trip, memorable, a moment from last year that I really enjoyed. Gordy couldn't actually make that trip because he was on scouting. So Dylan Beston and I, the two assistant coaches, had the reins for a few games, which was fun. But yeah, so that bus ride home, I think it was 15 hours through the winter, like ton of snow and stuff. Luckily for me, I was in the thick of it, of my MBA at the time, the Smith School of Business. So I actually completed an assignment over that 15 hours.
So it was like perfect. At least you could utilize the bus time.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a team-based program that I was on, and my teammates became very, very accustomed to me coming on to our team meetings from just in the middle of nowhere. Wi-Fi is 1 bar out of 5. Like, bit of a disaster at times. But yeah, I think that's the first thing, the travel. Second, I didn't actually realize kind of the differences within the QMJHL between the Quebec teams and the Maritime teams. Quebec, I'd say, a little bit more prone to playing a flashy skill game, whereas the Maritime teams don't mind mucking and grinding a little bit more, maybe a bit more pro style. And the rivalries between the Maritime teams especially was an unbelievable thing for me to experience as a coach. Our games against Moncton, our games against Halifax, against Charlottetown was kind of our main rival in Bathurst. And yeah, just some excellent style of hockey games that I was able to be a part of. And then also, lastly, the fans. Maritime, Canada, Quebec, there's crazy fans all over this country, and I think that's probably one of my favorite things about coaching is being in the arena and just feeling the energy every time I'm out there.
Especially when you're down on the bench too, right? Like, you're right in the middle of all of it. It's all like all that energy is coming right back to you, which has to be just the coolest sensation when a goal goes in or a big hit or something.
Yeah, it's something that I take a lot of pride in myself in actually being a bit more stoic in those moments. Some people watching this are going to laugh because they've seen me definitely not be stoic in those moments. But I think as I've developed as a coach, I really take a lot of pride in not reacting, because I think it looks way cooler if we score a big goal and your coach just is cool, calm, collected behind you, not reacting. There's times to kind of show how excited you are, to enjoy the moment. But there's a clip last year, Toronto Maple Leafs. Their head coach, Chief, is they score a big power play goal, and you see their power play coach just freaking out, losing it, fist pumping on the bench, and you just see him like, hey, can you calm down? He's like, oh yeah, no worries. So I showed Gordy that clip last year, and he burst out laughing. He's like, yeah, it definitely looks like him and I. It's something I'm working on, but at the same time, it's going to be tough with the amount of great plays our teams can be putting together on tape this year.
That's got to be, I mean, I think for me, that would be the toughest thing of being a coach, right? Like, you're down there, and for me, we score a big goal. I mean, I'm going nuts up in the booth, and that's something that that's a line you've got to be careful walking, right? But like, yeah, being down on the bench and knowing, okay, we worked with this on this play, in practice, and that's all kind of a just coming to fruition on all the work that you do in the the Tuesdays and the Wednesdays relate to the goals on Saturdays. I don't know if I'd be able to keep my celebrations down. I mean, like, because again, that's all that hard work kind of coming to fruition in a game.
Agree completely. I think one thing that when people ask me, because it's funny, being a young coach, people are always like, how are you this far advanced as a young coach? I'm like, because I retired young. a lot of my buddies are still playing, or
Yeah.
they're beginning their coaching careers. So I've become someone that a lot of people feel comfortable reaching out to about coaching questions, all that stuff. And a question I get often is like, what's something that you wish you knew when you started? And to be honest with you, exactly what you were just saying, it's a great feeling. However, I'm someone that takes a lot of pride in having been really good at executing. Not taking my hockey career out of the equation and academics with my relationships, like I'm someone that takes a lot of pride in how I go out and execute what I kind of want to. In coaching, there's a tangible separation between what you can influence and the execution. So it's a great feeling when things go well. Like if your team's able to execute on a set play, or they tie up a game, or you see continued small improvements over the season, you kind of recognize the work that went into it. But I'll tell you right now, when it's a tie game, or you're down by 1 goal, you get a power play with 3 minutes left, the knot in your stomach, especially for me, with a lack of experience compared to a lot of other coaches who might have 20, 30 years of experience in this industry, it's palpable. So being able to separate the process from the results, and always just focusing on making sure that you're doing what you can and controlling the controllables, rather than kind of living in that moment. Because as I said previously, if you live the roller coaster, when your team's winning, you're going to be walking in, walking on water. And when the team unfortunately loses a few games, which happens to everyone, you're going to be down in the dumps. And I think it's way more beneficial to be steady.
Absolutely. That's something you hear. I'm a big baseball guy. You hear that in baseball all the time. And I think it really applies to hockey too, right? Because it's such a long grind. It's such a long season. You've got to try to remain steady and try to ride the wave, right? And not, get too high or get too low. Because if you get too high or get too low, you're almost going to get swamped.
100%. And I was actually just talking with a few of my players this morning. We've had a lot of chances so far this season, and if you have a results-based confidence, well, you're probably pretty down the dumps right now, because we haven't been able to score goals in big moments. But for me, I evaluate the situation, and to make a metaphor, are you going to stop swinging the bat because you've struck out a few times? Because you're one swing away from getting on base, or you're one swing away from hitting that split seamer, getting on second, then you need the next guy to get you home, or just hitting a jack would be great too. I don't mind hitting dingers, but I think to that point, it's going to be really important for our guys to just have the mental resilience to keep shooting and stay confident, because if you've got the volume mentality, eventually they're going to go in, and when things start going in, everyone kind of relaxes. The stick isn't gripped nearly as tightly, and that's where we're going to start rolling. And it all gets started back again this weekend, which I'm really excited about.
Absolutely. Talk to me a little bit about being a young coach and maybe some of the adversity that you've had encountered in being a young coach. What goes into that, and talk about the pride you have in your age and being at this level.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just a product of a lot of people that have believed in me and have put me in a position to succeed. I think the adversity that I've been through as a young coach, it's just learning. It's just, I really believe the fundamental variable in the development of confidence is kind of overcoming adversity. I keep saying it because I really believe it fundamentally. I did it in my career. I did it in school. I've done it in my relationships. And once you have that growth mentality, everything else kind of falls by the wayside. In terms of being a young coach in a practical sense, I don't really look at it as a deficiency. I think it's a superpower. I like to think of myself as being dynamic and relatable. I can package information in ways that they understand. I try to stay hip with the times and the vernacular that the kids are throwing around these days. The Riz, if you know what I'm saying. I might get flamed for that one. But in all honesty, I think it's really important to just build real relationships. I really talk to them. I try to get to know them. I ask about their interests outside of hockey. I try to build personality traits outside of hockey for my players. And that way, when things are going well, I can still not talk about hockey. And when things aren't going well, which every single player goes through, I don't just need to breathe down their neck about, hey, like, why aren't you doing this right? Why aren't you doing this right? They know because I've built that two-way street of comfortable communication, we can have those mature conversations. And yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's how you frame it. I think it's a superpower. I don't look at it as a negative at all. Other people might, and they can doubt me. And they can doubt us this year because we've got a young, dynamic staff as well as a young, dynamic team, and we're all going to learn and grow together. And once we turn the corner, stay out of our way.
Yeah, and I really like the point you make there about the relatability of the players, right? I mean, these are 16 to 20-year-olds, and for you, somebody who's played in this league, gone through the ups and downs of playing at this level, and to be able to relate with them, and it wasn't that long ago that you were in their shoes. I think that's a really important thing to look at when it comes to, building those relationships and having those relationships with the guys, and, eventually that translates to success on the ice.
I mean, I told one of them I was born in 1998, and I got the, oh! So I think I'm unk. I think...
Another new age phrase, I guess.
Yeah,
for
I'm definitely
kids.
unk, which was humbling. But I also try to just make things light, Like every single day when the school guys show up, I ask them what they learned. I think one of them or two of them are in a Harry Potter class, which... couple of the guys called into question. I said that would have been the most guaranteed A+ of all time for me.
100%.
At one point, I think I was in the top 3% in trivia crack Harry Potter, so I just would have absolutely dominated that class. But yeah, I mean, being an OHL player it comes with a ton of pressure. Comes with family pressure. Comes with execution pressure. Comes with living away from home at a young age and having to show up to the rink every day and bring something consistent in order to earn your coach's trust. And as much as we want to professionalize this level, they are kids, right? 16 to 21. I know I made a ton of mistakes at that age, on the ice, off the ice, and I look at this as just a wonderful opportunity to help, I'm not going to say mentor, but help support and empower and uplift these guys on the ice, off the ice, hockey, non-hockey, to just be there and be a resource for them. Because ultimately, whether they succeed as a professional hockey player or whether they become a firefighter, a doctor, a lawyer, a plumber, electrician, I really want to be the type of coach that they look back upon one day and they're like, you know what? He was a great person. We had a great relationship, and he never gave up on me. And so far in my career, as much as the wins and the power play goals and the really highs of highs are memorable, I think the most important relationships that I've built are what I hold most close, and helping kids that may be struggling with personal lives, low confidence, overcome that and build back towards where they need to be from a confidence and enjoyment standpoint. I just think there's really no better way for me to be using my skill set.
And 100%, I think the biggest thing that got lost in me in, getting into this field and getting into with this team is when I was a kid growing up, going to games here, these are these big names, big time players, I don't think that, oh my goodness, they're kids, right? They're going to school. They're, battling with a lot of the stuff that you just mentioned. And now that, I'm on the bus with these guys and around these guys all the time, I think it really kind of hits you that, you know what, these guys are playing at a really high professional level, the best junior league in the world. And at the end of the day, they're kids. I think that's something that really gets lost a little bit in the shuffle.
100%. And I mean, I think the professionalization of amateur athletics at every level in every sport over the past kind of decade has really moved the agenda forward in terms of these kids are legit early. They're media trained. They have routines. They get into the gym. They know what their body needs. They're taking their protein shakes. And yet they make some decisions where you're like, what is going on? And you kind of have to wait a second, they're just kids, right? So that's another reason I feel like I was brought in here, is because I like to think of myself as a high character person, someone that is very detailed, has good habits. They are always going to be prepared when they come to the rink with me. It's something I hold very near and dear to my heart, is being a pro in my own right, because I'm never going to ask my players to do something that I don't think I could have handled at their age, and I'm never going to ask my players to do something that I haven't already done the work to put them in the best situation to accomplish. So so long as they bring that compete level, they bring that detail-oriented mindset, and they come ready to have fun at the rink, and follow the lead of Chris Millette with the rest of the staff, I think they're going to be in a really good spot this year to develop not only individually but also as a team.
Well, you mentioned work there, and let's shift gears a little bit. You mentioned it a little bit earlier on, your MBA at Smith School of Business in Kingston at Queen's. Talk to me about that. What made you want to pursue that? And, just work through the grind of what that was like, doing it alongside being a full-time assistant coach.
Yeah, it wasn't for the faint of heart, for sure. I think coming into my undergraduate degree at Carleton, I studied political science. Being in Ottawa, it's the capital of Canada, the proximity to Parliament, which is our White House in Canada, it was something that was really intriguing for me. I also love reading and writing and critical thinking, formulating arguments, writing essays. So it was kind of a perfect fit. But after a few years of studying politics, I had some fatigue, and I was like, I don't know how practically applicable a lot of this is. During COVID, I was fortunate enough with a really close friend of mine, William Brown, who's now a lawyer in downtown Toronto. He was actually an OHL alumni too. We founded a small nonprofit to help provide advantages for youth in Ottawa living in community housing to golf during COVID. Because I recognized, a lot of publicly funded recreational programs were all canceled during COVID, and yet there was a segment of our population that was able to just go out and golf because the social distancing was allowed. So ran that as a co-founder and managed a lot of the entrepreneurial responsibilities in terms of reaching out and fundraising and selling, and enjoyed it. I parlayed that into what was called the GDB program at the Smith School of Business at Queen's University, which was a 4-month super intensive diploma that represented half of an MBA, with the caveat that I would get priority acceptance later on if my grades were up to a certain standard. And like I said, I am an academic and I hold myself to a really high standard that way. Then last year I had ran my business, Spotlight Hockey, for a few years, which was a media company, which I'm sure you guys checked out. I was really proud of. I actually just shut it down after 3 years and basically brought digital media to Ottawa en masse, because when I started there was no real coverage, and I wanted to provide a professional atmosphere in Ottawa. So hired some talented young videographers, empowered them with the creativity and the agency to go out and produce content they were proud of. I think we had like 3 or 4 million views in the first year and a half. It was really successful, and through those two entrepreneurial endeavors, I realized I did want to kind of go to the next level in business. And after speaking to a few mentors of mine and people that had already taken the MBA, I realized it was the best spot for me. I actually got hired in Bathurst about a week and a half after I sent the deposit last year. And I told Gordy right away, like, hey man, you're going to get everything I can give to this team, but academics are also really important to me, and I've made the decision to pursue this degree. Is that okay? And to his credit, they couldn't have been more welcoming. Each, actually, him and Chris, have said that I think it's really cool for the players to kind of see a coach that not only is a high performance coach at this level, but is also taking strides in his personal private life to better himself academically. And balancing the time management wasn't easy, but ultimately you got to do what you got to do. And we got a lot of young student athletes on our team, and once again, being a role model for them and showing them it's possible with time management to do great work both professionally and academically was important to me.
Absolutely, and that is as impressive as it gets to, again, manage the time load of, arriving home on a 15-hour bus trip while also doing the academic work. And, this may be a bit of a loaded, wild, in the future question, but do you see yourself, continuing to pursue coaching over the next 20, 30 years? Or do you see yourself maybe going into business? Do you see it almost as a kind of a crutch for yourself, depending on how things go? Like, what do you see yourself doing maybe with that degree going forward?
For sure. Well, if it's my crutch, I feel good about it.
That's a pretty darn good crutch to have. Yeah.
If I have hockey coaching in my back pocket forever, that's something I'm very fortunate. I've definitely put a ton of work in to get to this point where I've earned an opportunity at this level. And the funny thing about coaching is it's all relationship based. So I take a lot of pride in surrounding myself with people that are a lot smarter than me, a lot more accomplished, so that number one, I feel inspired and empowered to go chase my goals. But number two, because ultimately, hopefully, a guy like Chris Millette or Ken Piroff can move on, become an NHL coach, and they remember that I was a decent enough guy to hang out with for a couple years in Erie, and they bring me along. But to be honest, I don't really have a 10 or 15, 20-year plan. I know right now I'm just humbled to be in this position. I'm going to work as hard as I can every day to put my players in a good position to succeed on the ice and off the ice. And then once again, if opportunities arise, I'll consider them. But I'm just so fortunate right now to be in this position and to help provide an on-ice product for the fans, the Erie Otters, that they're going to be really proud of supporting. And what happens in the future, I guess everyone's going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about away from the rink a little bit. What do you like to do in your free time? I know you're a big golf guy for sure. So is Tim back behind the microphone over there. But, you know, what do you like to get into away from the rink?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough in Erie so far just because I just got down here. Furnishing my apartment was taking up the majority of my time for a while. I want to give a shout out to Tyler Challenger, Cal Hughes, who helped me move a couch that I don't know if it should have fit down the hallway at my apartment. We did it in a way that made it work, but that took the brunt of my time when I first got here. I like reading. I like golfing. Shout out Whispering Woods, a great golf course. Really enjoyed playing there. It's tight, but a couple of times I played there, posted some scores I'm proud of. And then like working out at the rink, we just got a beautiful new gym facility that I'm going to be getting in all season. Outside of that, just also got a PS5. Pretty exciting times for me at Lavelle Place, which is where I'm staying. We got a good crew over there, and I'm just a social butterfly. So as much as I can, I like hanging out with the staff. I also spend a lot of time at the rink, to be honest. Our staff, our early risers, Mally's always there first getting a lift in, so he holds us accountable in that sense. So I try to be second or third to the rink every day, and try to stay late to make sure I check as much off my extremely long to-do lists that I got from Tim as much as I can every day. So yeah, I think that covers it. You know, you're reading, golf, working out, video games, talking to my beautiful girlfriend, Bryn, as well. I need to get the call once a day minimum with her, and it's been fun so far.
What have you liked about Erie? Have you had a chance to really explore the city and get to some of the local places? Has there been a spot that's jumped out at you?
I love sunsets. So fun fact about me is I've always loved sunsets. I dropped it in my coaching interview with Chris, with Mally, that I love sunsets, and he said, well, Erie's got some of the best sunsets in North America. In fact, I think he dropped that they were ranked second.
Yeah, they're up there for sure.
Which seems like a crazy objective ranking. Like, I don't know who's putting together the sunset rankings. Maybe that's my next step.
There you go.
You know,
I mean, I was in Denver a couple of months ago at a baseball game, and theirs was pretty electric with the mountains in the background, just the colors of the sky. I mean,
can see that. I mean, I think saying second in the U.S. is a crazy ranking for Erie, but at the same time, I've seen some pretty good ones so far. So, yeah, I mean, I got down to the waterfront a few times. That was nice. I haven't seen the tower. I've seen the tower on a whole bunch of like logos and stuff. I don't know where it is. So we might have to take a road trip at one point.
It's right by the rink.
Is it?
So if you go out onto State Street, which is that main street there, it's right at the end of the street.
Okay, I need to get out on State Street a little bit more.
So the rink is on French Street. It's one block over toward the west.
Cool. Yeah.
So it's not too far. You can even walk there.
Yeah? I might have to after a game. I also checked out the Seawolves Stadium. So, fun fact about me, I'm like debatably a quarter to an eighth Dominican. I'm not sure how the fractions break down, but I've just been carrying a baseball bat around our facility for like a month and a half now, just in case they need a pinch hitter. I probably play center field, just, cover with range, speed. My arm's terrible. A few of the staff saw me trying to throw a football the other day. It was pretty tough, I'm not going to lie. I will say, I prefaced already, shoulder injuries, both sides.
You probably throw a baseball further than Tim can over in the corner. Tim's
actually very true.
Tim's had some tough luck with his shoulders too. So.
Yeah, we got about 2 working shoulders in this room, and they're both on you. So, but yeah, I mean, just trying to get scouted. I've never really taken BP. I've been saying their field, the grass looks unreal.
That'd be so fun.
I brought cleats up. I've got football gloves. Just give me a bat. Let me rip. I'm Dominican. Like, I'm probably related to David Ortiz somehow, going back in the past in the Dominican Republic. I feel like it's in my blood. I just was never given a chance growing up. So there's a chance. I'm like,
hey,
watch out. I might be a dual athlete. Well, single athlete. 'Cause I'm not an athlete anymore, but I might be able to get out there for the Seawolves next season.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. And at the time of recording this, we are on the night of them potentially winning a third straight Eastern League championship. So pretty cool stuff there. I mean, yeah, I've had some great experience there. I know I'm a huge baseball guy, so always enjoy just being in the ballpark. It's just the best.
Well, when they're winning 3 straight championships, it's a little bit easier to be a fan, I'm sure.
Yeah, certainly. I also work over there part-time. I do some PA announcing and stuff, so always fun to be up there in the press box.
So you're saying you've been here for three years?
So I've lived in Erie. I've been with the Otters for 4. 2 as an intern, 1 the previous year full-time, and then this is my second year full-time. First year is as the guy.
So you start working in the facility, and they go 3 out of 4 potentially league championships? It might be you.
I don't know. Yeah, I was
be
going to
you,
say,
man.
I've worked with the team since 21. And I think 22 is the first year they made it, and then they lost in the final. They actually got no hit in the last game.
That's tough.
Yeah, that is
tough.
not ideal.
That's where you're the hitting coach. Remember I said that knot in your stomach? You're like, this is
probably by like the 3rd, 4th inning, even maybe later on. You're like, yeah,
That's what I like about baseball. Like, a good pitcher can just completely take over.
It's amazing, right? Now, of course, I'm a huge Pirates fan. For most people who know me, Paul Skeens, watching him every 5th day, like, it's always a treat.
The other 4 days are kind of rough.
Actually, not really for the pitching. It's the hitting that's the problem there. But oh man, yeah, it's always fun to just watch a great pitching performance. And I don't know if there's really many kind of carryover between baseball and hockey. Is there anything that you guys can maybe learn from their coaches or any crossover there?
Well, I mean, Moneyball, obviously, the kind of analytical revolution has carried over into 100%. Most pro sports. I'm someone that throughout my MBA has kind of really put a lot of time and effort into learning how to use AI to our benefit as a staff. I think it's such an untapped resource, and the more automation that you can kind of build into your day, the more time you can spend working on interpersonal communication. And with AI, I think building it into evaluating data sets and driving meaningful insights out of AI is crucial as well. I think there's carryover there. Other than that, I think it's just the confidence. Like I said, in baseball, if you go 3 out of 10 at the plate, you got a chance to be a Hall of Famer.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Probably most of the time you are a Hall of Famer.
Exactly. So I think building that mindset of just being a volume executor and making sure that, hey, if you come down on a 2-on-1 and you shoot the puck and the goalie makes the save, that's a prime scoring chance for you. And you need to focus on generating prime scoring chances rather than scoring goals, because inevitably, if you're confident and you're comfortable in those situations and you have the mentality that I'm just going to keep swinging the bat, right? They're going to start going in. Once they start going in, that's where the real fun starts. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you look at that in analytics. Talk to me about how they have changed the game, how you've been able to kind of adopt them into your coaching style, and what the use for that can be. And also, is there a little bit of old school in you, or are you full all in on analytics?
I'm definitely new school across the board. I think even the old school perspectives are a bit antiquated in pro sports. I think you have to adopt a new perspective in terms of how you deal with players, in terms of how you approach preparation, in terms of special teams, 5-on-5. I think analytics for me are a tool. I think the biggest kind of barrier to leveraging kind of the power of analytics is normally it's pretty confusing because you get all these numbers on it.
So many numbers.
Right? So I think something that I have been looking for solutions for is just how to simplify that process. Maybe some things coming in the future on that. Again, like I said, I am someone who prides himself on being an entrepreneur at heart, so maybe there's an opportunity to capitalize on that opportunity. But for me, it's just about how can I supplement my eye test analysis with as much data to either support the conclusion that me or Chris or Kenny have as coaches, or in an ideal world, to maybe present new information or new methodologies that you can implement or execute on the ice to help put your team and the players that make up the team in as best of a position as you can. So whether that's, percentage of successful entries that a team allows on a drop breakout versus four backs swinging with speed, whether it's a goalie that struggles with shots to his blocker a foot and a half off the ice rather than trying to, pick top shelf glove every time, which I'm sure all of our players want to do every time. It's like, no, like there's ways to exploit tendencies. There's data that show patterning, and if you can find the trends in those patterns that can give your team an advantage, I think that's kind of the job at this point in terms of how to use analytics.
It's so fascinating to me. Like, I love kind of hearing that story and having the curtain peeled back. I mean, just what goes into, preparing for a game night and all the amount of data that you guys have at your fingertips to say, okay, this is a tendency. Well, let's exploit that tendency. And the film and everything that goes into that just really just fascinates me on what the preparation for just one game, and then not to mention a back-to-back or a 3-3 when you have three separate opponents to try to game plan for is just incredible.
For sure. I think probably the biggest misconception about coaching is that you just kind of just show up for the game and you get to live in that moment with the players. We work long hours. We are always talking about how to create marginal improvements for our group. Again, if 1% better, that growth mentality is a part of your governing ethos as a person, not even as a coach, you're going to be in a good spot, because continued improvement is way more important than getting a lot better in a short amount of time and then kind of plateauing or falling off because you can't maintain it. So something I take a lot of pride in. It's something Chris is like an absolute professional at. I'm learning from him every day. I'm also learning from Kenny every day. And I think we've got a fantastic staff, all the way from management down through our support staff, Megan and Chili, who are two probably the best kind of support staff in the league in terms of the equipment and the medical side. I just feel like we've provided our group with a really strong support system for them to go out and do their jobs. I feel good about it.
Absolutely. Well, as we kind of wrap things up here, got to ask you about your excitement to go back to Ottawa and Kingston over these next couple of weeks here. Obviously from Ottawa and the area surrounding, and then for Kingston, getting your degree from Smith School of Business there at Queens. What's that excitement level like, and what's it going to be like when you walk in the rink those days?
It's going to be cool. As much as I want to say it's just another game, definitely wouldn't mind getting wins in both those rinks. Probably going to have over 50 people in each one out there to support me. And like I said, I'm someone who takes a lot of pride in building meaningful relationships. It's going to be a humbling moment. It's going to be definitely a full circle moment. A funny little story. When I was growing up, I was an OHL super fan because my mom and my grandpa had a band named Fat Shadows, and they used to, with some other really talented musicians, and they used to sing on the concourse at intermission.
Wow, okay, that's sweet.
What is now TD Place.
Yeah.
So I used to get autographs from Tyler Toffoli and Corey Locke and these throwback, Cody Ceci, these throwback Auto 67s. So to play in that rink as a player was fun. Unfortunately, took a penalty, cross-checking my first ever game there, then panicked and threw a puck out of play, took another penalty, delay a game. It's kind of a metaphor for my entire career. So didn't really see a ton of ice in Ottawa as a player, but the great thing about being a coach is there's no stress. I'm not going to take a penalty. Yeah. I'm going to have my guy on the bench. There's no real way for me to mess up. And last year in Gatineau, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of friends and family out there to support me, and we won a big game with a power play game
that's
winner.
Gotta feel good.
I mean, I feel pretty confident going in here that our group's going to be ready. They're going to be well prepared, and if they need a little bit of extra motivation, I'll tell them the size of the group I got there and how much it would mean. So I'm excited to go home, and I just wish get the winning going and go on from there.
Absolutely. The Ottawa rink too. So cool. I mean, such a unique building. And for those of you not familiar, basically think of the cookie cutter stadiums of the 60s and 70s here that were designed for football and baseball. Well, this was the Canadian version. They tucked a hockey rink under the stand of the football stadium. I mean, one of the coolest venues. It's such a throwback to that era. Like, you walk in there and just feels like so much history. And of course, that was the original home of the Ottawa Senators when they first got the expansion team as well. So just such a cool building. Are you a fan of the barber pole jerseys as well?
Oh, I think the Barbers are amazing.
They're unbelievable,
they're
right?
amazing.
Like,
I actually played for the
iconic.
Junior 67s.
Oh, so you got to wear them.
In my OHL draft year, I played for the Ottawa Junior 67s. Our white jersey was their old throwback logo. Just white, but our
the
red
one with
jersey,
like the punching.
yeah.
That's a good
That was
logo.
our old logo, and then the reds was like full barber poles, and they look so clean.
So good.
Our whole team had white cages that year, black
Okay.
helmets, white cages. I don't know about that, but I thought we looked pretty clean. In fact, I think a lot of the Ottawa area AAA teams have really good jerseys. The Titans are like classic, almost Peterborough Pete's.
Yeah.
The Myers Automotive are like Ottawa Senators branded.
Okay.
Junior 67's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Ottawa Valley or Upper Canada Cyclones, I should say, are like yellow and blue. Some really cool colors there. And then the other team I played for, which is like Eastern Ottawa, is the Eastern Ontario Wild. So it's like all Minnesota Wild
That's
stuff,
cool.
but like retro Wild with like a lot of light red
Yeah.
thrown in there too. So I was fortunate enough to have some pretty cool jerseys.
Are you a big jersey like uniform guy?
I think so. I think
Yeah?
I'm just stylish in general. Like I care about looking good, look good, feel good, play good,
Absolutely.
or coach good in my case. But I think fashion and you know, aesthetics. I think with the media business and I think it's something I really enjoy.
I love jerseys. I'm a huge jersey
What's your
collector.
best jersey then? Like,
So in my collection or like
Just,
all around, like
let's
my
go
favorite jersey.
Mount Rushmore, any sport jerseys.
Chargers powder blue for sure.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the
Like
Chargers
Dan
powder
Fouts
blue.
era or like current?
No, before Dan Fouts. Dan Fouts era would have been like the darker blue and then like the
Right.
yellow. I'm talking like their original like AFL days. Like
Okay.
Lance Allworth running around
Okay.
powder blue. Let's see. Yeah, Tim's got a couple pulled up. That's the more current one there. The one of LaDainian Tomlinson. That's the original.
Oh, I see.
One that you
So
see.
do you
there.
like those new ones?
I do like the new ones.
The new
a
ones
lot.
are pretty
The new
fire.
ones are pretty clean.
Charger ones are great.
Chicago Blackhawks home uniform.
That red?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
really
the
like
red
the red,
ones are fire.
clean,
Yeah.
like just simple. Let's see. I'll try and get a baseball one.
Yeah, let's go one major
one
sport
for each sport. Basketball's tough for me because I'm not a huge basketball guy.
I'll give you one.
Okay,
You ready?
yeah.
OG Toronto Raptors.
It's so good. So I went
purple
to we were on the road last year and we had an off day.
Yeah, look at that.
It's so good. Vince
Unreal.
Carter like just jumps out. But I went to a Raptors game when we were on the road and I just went by myself. We were in Brampton. I'm like, you know what? Like we got nothing to do on this Friday night. I'm gonna go to the game and I had a blast and got a hat with that logo on it because that logo is so good.
Unreal.
But for baseball.
That's gonna be a tough one for you.
Baseball's tough because obviously, like you think, I would probably have to say Montreal Expos powder blue road uniform
those are pretty
is really really good.
Those are real nice.
I mean, that's a classic. Their road uniform like powder blue. I like their right there with that. I've got that hat in my collection. So good, just pops. The 94 ones too with the pinstripes, even that road gray there is great too. I mean that just screams Vladdy Jr., Moises Alou, Pedro Martinez.
Moises Alou.
Yeah, like
I love it. That might be the craziest name drop maybe of
Moises
all time.
Alou.
He was famous.
Yeah, he was. So the Steve Bartman play in Chicago 03 NLCS, he was the outfielder that Steve Bartman robbed the what wouldn't have been a foul ball if not for the fan reaching
Right.
over
Okay.
there. So
Yeah,
he was the
I've seen
outfielder
that.
for the Cubs in that situation. But he was a really really big player with those Expos teams mid 90s.
Okay. What do you think of Utah's New Jersey?
I actually really like them.
I like 'em
They're very like the Carolina Panthers, like that black and blue, like silver look.
That
They're
was
pretty good.
my exact color scheme for my business.
Oh, really?
Spotlight
Okay.
Hockey, when I came out with it, I was like, I kind of want to go with something that isn't a conventional hockey. Like
Yeah,
red, white, and
like
blue.
everybody has red and black, red and blue. Like
Yeah.
I like even for the Otters, like the navy and gold. You played in Flint, blue and orange. Like
Yeah.
I like the different look about that.
I agree with that. Now, classic jerseys, I think the Montreal red, Canadians
yeah,
red.
it's really good.
Can't really go wrong with that.
I've got that one in my collection.
I like the old time Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, the powder blue ones.
Yeah,
Or
no. The black,
black with the
like the Mary
yeah.
Lemieux era.
Yeah,
I think
the
those
Robo
ones
Pen.
were great. Tim's like, oh yeah,
Yeah, that's a good. I like the Penguins' current set.
Yeah,
too.
I like him too.
Like that early '90s, like black and yellow. I was not a fan of the gold in the mid 2000s.
No.
Like I know they won a cup in those jerseys, but like
I like retro jerseys, man. I think the Washington Capitals. Need to go full time.
I mean, I know like Dale Hunter and the London Knights, but like you just think of Dale Hunter and those.
I don't think of Dale
I don't know.
Hunter.
Yeah,
maybe that's you.
I don't know. That might just be
that's
me.
Just
but
you. Hey,
I'm gonna get flamed for that comment.
I had nothing against Dale Hunter and the Hunter family. Like 3 months ago. But
I would say now it's
persona non
I don't.
grata.
For me, that's just always the player I think of when I see those jerseys. I guess Ovi in the Winter Classic. In
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
that's who I think
like,
of.
yeah, Ovi in the Winter
definitely-
Classic.
So again, like I grew up in a pretty cool era. The 1998 birth year, like Crosby came in, I was 10 or like 11, and like a formative game for me was the dueling hat tricks, Ovi and Crosby.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that, just being like, is there anything better than playoff hockey? One thing a lot of people don't know about me, and this will kind of lead in, as a Sens fan, this might be blasphemous, but I really like the Toronto Maple Leafs all blue.
Yeah, it's a good look. It's
just,
classy.
oh,
it's classy and it's
on Matthews
iconic.
and like I think.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another question: what NHL player has the best on ice style? Because I think William Nylander has.
It's tough for hockey.
It
is because like you're so it is tough for hockey. Trying to think of some like the newer age guys like that kind of bring that style. I mean, there's
the Morgan Geeky who's got the tinted visor.
Even Otters connect like Matthew Schaefer, just unbelievably cool. Just the way that like his style, like cool. Like I'm trying to think of another. Tim, you got one.
Cool.
Yeah, Ovi when he would have the tinted visor.
Tinted visors.
Tinted visor's so tough.
Yellow laces too.
Yeah.
He was just. He couldn't have had more drip back in the day.
No, the tinted visor makes you look like a machine.
Yeah. How about last year? My first game against Charlottetown and Bathurst, they all have tinted visors.
Really?
Like dark tinted visors. And I look over at our equipment manager. I'm like, can we get these? And he goes, no, their equipment manager made a mistake and accidentally got the full team tinted visors. And I said, well, can you make a mistake? Like, it looks so cool. I remember being blown away by that. But yeah, that's not a bad pick. I think Nylander just flies around, looks pretty sick. I think Kucherov too.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is,
yeah,
but both of those guys just on the ice look amazing. And then like McKinnon and McDavid, you can't even really see what they look like on the ice because they're
so
just
fast,
flying around at warp speed. But
one more jersey I want to add in, by the way, Hartford Whalers green.
Nice,
so good.
Good job.
I have both the white and green versions of the Carolina like redo over the last couple of years, so that's one. It's another one I really like.
You know what? Here's just, I know I'm extending this podcast here, but worst jerseys.
Oh,
because it might be easier to come with.
Yeah,
worse jerseys.
there's some bad ones.
Like creamsicle, Tampa Bay Bucks.
I like those.
No way.
Oh, I like those.
No, you don't like them for real?
The worst NFL jersey I can think of is the Eagles. They wore them in 2007. They're light blue and yellow. There's probably a good photo of Donovan McNabb. Just look up Philadelphia Eagles yellow jerseys. That's the worst one I can think of for football. Also, Denver in the 2010 season wore a yellow and brown look that was like an AFL throwback. That was also not good. I'm not a fan of the Padres current. Yeah, those are
terrible,
tough, man. With that material as well, which was actually like the material was.
They look like if someone tried to draw an Erie Otters jersey from memory.
Yeah, that's a. But then you got the Kelly Green right next to it. It's amazing.
Kelly Green's amazing.
So good.
Another like throwback jersey I love is Kachina.
Yeah, Arizona. I've got that one. It's a shame. I actually was in the desert earlier on this summer and got to go to their rink and like I was like, man, like I really enjoyed
Glendale?
the Coyote. Yeah,
middle of nowhere
like,
though.
It is kind of a little off the beaten path. Weird area of the country because there's like the city and then there's like nothing and then Glendale's like its own little city and there's like all these like small cities that
and if
pop
you're in
up
the
around.
city there's like some foliage and stuff
Yeah,
and then the second
there's nothing.
Like
and the airport's right next to the downtown. Like
it's crazy. I played golf there and like I hit the ball like 8 yards off the fairway and it was just sand. I'm like, what's going on? Like, but again, I'm pretty sure their water bill's high either way.
Yes, but yeah, worse jerseys. I mean, there's some There's so many. I mean, there's going to be more, I think, that'll come to my mind when we're done here.
Yeah.
Versus,
I'm going to get
on
a
the
text
spot.
with
Is there,
17.
Is there one that jumps to your mind?
I think I really don't like the modern jerseys where they all try to look the same.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. The originality of jerseys I appreciate. I think part of the reason too that the creamsicle jerseys get a bad rep was because they actually were like horrific.
I would say that they were 0-26 to start their.
So if they were the Super Bowl winners,
as John McKay, the head coach, said when he was asked about his team's execution, he said he was in favor of it. So that was his response to the media there in the early mid-70s Bucks. But yeah, I think they wore the white ones this weekend. I think they're gonna wear the orange ones. I like them. I think they're
love
so
Baker Mayfield.
70s. Yeah,
he's my
talk
guy.
about a guy who's got style. Baker Mayfield, tough.
So I guess we can conclude the conversation. I think the best setup of any sports uniform, in my humble opinion, are the San Francisco 49ers.
Classy.
All reds.
Yeah.
With the gold accents.
So classy.
You just can't. Debo Samuel, say what you want about him as a player. When he first came on the scene, he was he had the dripped out chains. With the visor, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And then he was good, and I was like, "That's even better." But
yeah,
that's kind of if I could choose
cool.
a setup as an NFL player coming in as quarterback that can't throw farther than 17 yards, I would probably want to play there. A little Brock Purdy action.
The NFL has so many just classic, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Dallas, the Raiders, 49ers,
Patriots red.
They
Patriots
wore those
classic
against.
red.
Oh, those are amazing with Pat Patriot snapping the football
Against the Buffalo
Unbelievable.
Bills, 6 touchdowns and a half for Tom Brady. Just packed it in.
Great
hung
uniform.
out.
But as we again kind of wrap things up, Keenan, that was a great segment, by the way. I love talking uniforms, talking jerseys. But what are your goals for this season? What makes a successful year in your mind in your first year in the Ontario Hockey League as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, just continuing to earn the respect of my fellow staff members, the players. Getting comfortable, getting acclimated, and feeling comfortable, confident in my ability to put my players and my fellow staff members in the best position to do their job as possible. And then maybe in terms of more of a SMART goal, I think just, once again, getting to a place where every single day after practice, every single day after games, I can look myself in the mirror and be like, I did my best. I had my players prepared. And regardless of the outcome, I can leave with my head held high knowing I gave it all I got.
Keenan, this has been an absolute blast, my friend. Thanks so much for doing this.
Appreciate it.
Anytime. Let's do it. That is another edition of Ott The Record. Reminder, you find us live on the Gem City Sports Podcast Network, presented by Rebich Investments. We hope to see you along for the very next episode of Ott The Record.